Hey guys, last week the European Court of Human Rights has found that Ireland violated Miss C's human rights as it failed to implement the existing constitutional right to an abortion, and we do need legislation here in Ireland on the topic of abortion. Here is an interview given by Amy, who had to endure a hell of a lot because of this country's refusal to legislate on abortion. I'll let her speak for herself.
Case in 2007, a 17-year-old woman discovered her child had a condition where the brain didn't develop and had no chance of life. She opted not to carry the child to term, but ended up in the High Court when the HSE tried to prevent her from travelling to the UK. Earlier today, Amy Dunn, the woman known as Miss D, described what she went through.
I remember going up to the courts. It was so heartbreaking. There was hundreds of pro-life people there. They'd have big posters with pictures of babies, dead babies, and babies inside the room at different stages of pregnancy. And what was going on with my baby, she was going to die. There was no chance of survival, and she was inside me, and she was making myself ill. And that was my personal thing. I didn't like having that exposed to the whole world. And for them to think they could judge me and make me feel that way, it was so horrible.
And what did they say to you, Amy? I mean, what kind of things were they shouting at you when you were going in and out?
I was a murderer. I know I was a murderer, and basically, I can't exactly remember. It was such a blur. Even walking by them when they were saying things, I knew they were mean, but they were just saying things about babies and them having a right to life and how evil I was. And I wasn't. I was 17, pregnant with a baby with such a rare condition.
What happened then?
So when I got over there, I got settled in, I got brought to hospital, I got a scan, and I started off into labour, and they would keep giving me medication through the day to induce me to bring on labour, and my labour lasted 16 hours, and it was very, very painful. And I wouldn't take medication because I thought that maybe she'd take a breath and I'd get a birth cert and get to treat it like a real pregnancy with a baby at the end. And I eventually delivered the baby after 16 hours. I was very kind of stoned with the medication. I just remember having the baby and screaming, and she was dead, and I didn't expect her to be dead. I don't know, I just expected her to be fine and alive. I mean, I didn't know. I was given like I was only given like Are
you alright, Amy?
I was only given like an hour to get my head around having the baby. I mean, to get everything that had to happen. I had like so little time to go into her. My ex brought me in the wheelchair into her, and I had look her, and she was just like a normal little baby. I mean, she had the fingernails and the toenails. She was just a small baby. She was exactly like a normal baby. And everybody held her, and the priest came and blessed her. She didn't breathe, so I had no right to a birth cert, but I got a blessing cert. Next of all, it was time to go. I mean, I think I only had like an hour to get my head around. I didn't get the time to get my head together because I was in a different country. I had a flight to catch, and I never actually got to hold her. And I think if I had have been in Ireland and had a few hours more, I would have been able to maybe dress her or hold her, or, you know, maybe even have a look at her face, but I hadn't got the courage at the time to look at her face.
And Amy, when did you see her again?
I never got to see her again.
And I mean, for you, like, what difference would it have made to you if that could all have happened in Ireland, that you could have stayed with your baby, that you wouldn't have had to go through that flight home after what you've gone through? It
would have been so much more less stressful. I mean, virtually would have been completely different. I would have kept it so tight with family. I wouldn't have felt like a murderer, and the guilt I still feel today because of newspapers saying I did have an abortion and stuff, which I didn't. I would have been able to in the privacy of my own town. I would have been able to be my own doctors. I mean, not having to travel the country and organise taking your baby home. If it's a possibility, which it nearly wasn't a possibility, I couldn't have bared the thought of that. And then having to get her home and organise funerals and collections from airports, it was like treated like luggage. I just can't imagine anyone else having to go through that. It's a horrible, horrible experience.
And what's your reaction to what happened today, that the European Court of Human Rights have said we need to sort the situation?
I don't agree with abortion, but I just think they really need to think of the personal situation of a woman. I think they really need to get their heads down.
There you go. And Amy is not the only one. Many women in Ireland are going through the same experience as Amy. I know that there's a lot of mirrors going on recently because of flagging in the MCA, but if you could try to spread this video about, because Ireland does need to legislate on abortion, it'd be very much appreciated. The Kitch 2 out.